It starts with a question. How does one city, known for country music above all, come to sound so different that it surprises even its oldest residents? Walk down Lower Broadway on a summer night and you'll hear the pulsing beat of country, sure, but also pop, hip-hop, gospel, blues. Something changed in Nashville, and it happened so quickly that not even the locals agree on when the old order faded. Did it begin when a new wave of migration swept in, or when a surge of technology let anyone record a hit in their living room? Did the economics of the city pull the industry in, or are the roots older still? Music scenes seeded decades before, finally blooming. Every city's soundtrack evolves, but Nashville's shift seems seismic, and what's fascinating is that it's happened here, of all places, a city that spent a century defining what country should mean. Why did Nashville's sound change? Why here? Why now? And what does it reveal about how places shape music? Let's rewind and listen to the story behind the sound. Nashville started as a strategic port and trading hub, its downtown built where the French Lick once stood. Its name comes from Francis Nash, a Revolutionary War general, but its character formed through commerce. In the 1800s, the city's growth was driven by steamboats and the tracks that brought goods south. But here's the strange part. Even before the Civil War, Nashville was home to a remarkably large population of both enslaved and free African Americans, whose musical traditions seeped into the city's cultural groundwater. When Union troops took the city first among Southern capitals, Nashville became a center of reconstruction, trade, and an uneasy new order. After the Civil War, black musicians helped the city earn nationwide renown. The Fisk Jubilee Singers, for example, were already famous overseas by the 1870s, long before country music took the spotlight. Through Jim Crow and the growing divides of a segregated city, Nashville developed competing musical traditions, while colleges and new arrivals added layers to the soundscape. The town would be called Athens of the South for its campuses, but it was the Music City moniker that stuck. And when the radio age arrived, everything sped up. The Grand Ole Opry began its broadcasts in 1925, and with it, Nashville's identity as country music central was set. Yet the roots remained tangled. African American music, gospel, bluegrass, commerce, and competition overlapping in the city's clubs, churches, and airwaves. Economic and social change continued through the 20th century. Desegregation moved at a crawl. The so-called Nashville Plan integrated schools one grade at a time starting in 1957. In the 1960s, new interstate highways carved up old neighborhoods, including the vibrant black music corridor around Jefferson Street. Despite upheavals, or perhaps because of them, the city's music industry boomed, especially after the formation of metropolitan Nashville and Davidson County in 1963 unified local government and planning. But the piece that would define the modern sound was just about to begin. Picture a studio in Nashville in the mid-1950s. Not a honky-tonk or a barn dance, but a place with velvet-lined walls and the hum of tape machines. This is where the Nashville sound was born, a style created quite intentionally to save country music from vanishing as rock and roll took over the charts. Producers like Chet Atkins, Owen Bradley, and Steve Sholes crafted something new, blending pop song structures, lush string sections, and polished background choirs with country's storytelling heart. Gone was the raw fiddle and lonesome steel guitar. In their place, smooth tempos and what Chet Atkins famously called the sound of money. The musicians behind the sound, session players known as the Nashville A-Team, and groups like the Anita Kerr Quartet defined a new musical template. Singers crooned with the gentle phrasing of pop, not the sharp nasal vocals of old-time honky-tonk. The whole product was designed to cross over, to play on both country and mainstream radios, and it worked. Early hits like Jim Reeves' Four Walls and Ferlin Husky's Gone signaled a sea change. RCA Studios A and B were built just for this purpose, with reverb chambers and the kind of technical wizardry that made crossover hits possible. By the 1960s, Nashville's Music Row was a buzzing hive of publishers, radio networks, and recording studios. Major labels completed a significant share of their country recordings on these few blocks, almost a factory for hits. The sound evolved in response to outside pressures, the British invasion, the rise of Bakersfield and outlaw country. Producers like Billy Sherrill and Glenn Sutton dialed up the orchestration, birthing countrypolitan, a style that landed not just on country charts, but on pop radio and in suburban homes. Here's the receipt, an artifact that proves just how dominant Nashville had become. A 1960 Time magazine article declared that Nashville had nosed out Hollywood as the nation's second biggest, after New York, record-producing center. But even this innovation owed something to the deep well of traditions alive in the city. Nashville was a point of convergence for musical lineages long before the Nashville sound. The Fisk Jubilee Singers, who began touring internationally in 1871, gave the world spirituals rooted in the Black experience of the South. Gospel quartets, blues musicians, and early jazz acts all played here, sometimes in segregated halls, but equally in shared spaces invisible to outsiders. Session players would leave an R&B gig, walk to a country jingle session, and finish the evening on a gospel record. By the 1960s, Nashville hosted a unique breed of multi-instrumentalists, shaped by exposure to everything from Appalachian ballads to Latin jazz, thanks to the region's role as a crossroads. New arrivals changed not only the neighborhoods, but the chorus lines, band rosters, and studio experiments in town. Recording studios prospered because so many cultures, genres, and ambitions brushed up against each other in a few tight city blocks. The result? A sound that moved outward, making hits for more than just country fans, and laying groundwork for the city's next great innovation, whatever shape it takes. So why did this all happen in Nashville, and not Memphis, Chicago, or Los Angeles? Partly it's geography, but more it's what happens when a city shape molds its culture. Nashville was built at a bend in the Cumberland River, a crossroads for riverboats, then trains, then highways. Its early status as a port and later as a major railroad center turned it into a distribution hub, a place where people and goods constantly mixed. By the 1950s, the city's location worked like a magnet for the music industry. Studios could draw players from Appalachia, Mississippi, and the Midwest with ease, thanks to train lines converging nearby. This was a kind of gravitational center for Southern culture, but also for the business-minded. The city's universities, from Belmont and Vanderbilt to Fisk, supplied not just talented musicians, but also future executives and engineers for the recording business. That led to something rare, a clustering of skills, ambitions, and infrastructure within a walkable area called Music Row, where deals could be struck in the morning and a new sound cut by that afternoon. Not every city offers this. Legal changes made a difference. The 1963 consolidation of city and county governments let Nashville coordinate growth, plan for infrastructure, and support industry in ways fragmented cities couldn't. When major labels realized that nearly all the services they needed existed within a handful of blocks, publishers, radio, studios, engineering, they doubled down. Here's the proof. By the late 1960s, major labels such as RCA, Victor, Decca, and Columbia were completing the majority of their country music recording sessions in the Music Row district. What makes Nashville's geography even more unusual is its role as a meeting ground for so many traditions. The city was already recognized as the Athens of the South because of its cluster of higher education institutions. This produced not just musicians, but also venue managers, engineers, business people, and educators needed to keep a music industry humming. The sound that started for country radio soon pulled in elements from all around: jazz from East Nashville, spirituals from church houses, and blues from every corner. The construction of Interstate 40 in the 1960s sliced through historic black neighborhoods, physically separating communities but also pushing creative friction right to the borders where genres mixed. The Music City nickname wasn't just brand. By the 1970s, musicians, engineers, and songwriters of different backgrounds were all a short walk apart. This density is rare, not just population, but population with the skills and drive for making nationally recognized recordings. Nashville today isn't the musical monoculture outsiders sometimes imagine. Walk past the big venues of Lower Broadway, and you'll catch hints of Latin pop, hip-hop, indie rock, and blues threading through the air alongside classic country. The golden age of the Nashville sound is history, but its legacy isn't just nostalgia. It's one reason modern Nashville became a blueprint for creative cities. Look at the numbers. As of the 2020s, over 14% of the city's residents are foreign-born, and nearly 21% identify as Hispanic or Latino. New arrivals bring instruments and genres unfamiliar to country radio, reshaping the music sold, played, and celebrated here. These days, anyone with a laptop and a vocal mic can cut a demo from an East Nashville living room. Technology and the economics of streaming have given independent artists more leverage, while legacy studios on Music Row adapt to survive. Yet the city's legacy industry remains a juggernaut. The Country Music Association, headquartered on Music Row since 1967, continues to promote the genre to listeners worldwide. Nashville's leading universities turn out the engineers, managers, and songwriters who power new scenes. Major labels still compete for talent, but social media gives smaller acts a chance to break through, sometimes reshaping the very definition of what Nashville music even means. Just as Countrypolitan built on the Nashville sound to conquer new audiences, so today's Nashville fuses roots and pop, tradition, and borderless experimentation. Cities around the world try to copy the formula for a musical economy, but the recipe here, a particular history of migration, commerce, and collaboration, remains uniquely Nashville. The city has learned again and again to make change sing. Which brings us back to that summer night on Lower Broadway. The music you hear spilling from every club, every stoop and open window is the product of centuries of a city crosshatched by migration, invention, struggle, and commerce. What changed Nashville's sound? Geography and business, certainly, but also a rare openness to outside voices, and the constant interplay between history and the present. The transformation wasn't just about the technology of the moment or the newest arrivals, though those mattered. It was a deep pattern, a city always catching the next wave, not afraid to blend what came before with what's next. That, in the end, is the answer to our Hooks question. Why here? Why now? Because Nashville, for all its tradition, has always made space for something new. Its streets and studios keep inventing, and the sound, like the city, never stands still.